Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning into today's video. We have more PlayStation news, rumours and leaks to go over. Please hit that like button, and if you are new to the channel, please consider subscribing if you enjoyed today's video. So we're starting off with Sony PlayStation. Following Sony's second quarter financial reports, Hiroki Totoki of Sony PlayStation has confirmed what all PlayStation fans wanted to hear. So Sony has recently confirmed ambitious plans to release major PlayStation exclusives every single year, beginning with Ghosts of Yotei in 2025. The announcement was made during a presentation outlining the company's financial performance for the second quarter of the 2024 fiscal year, which ended on September the 30th, 2024. The strategic move marks a clear effort by Sony to solidify its reputation as a leading force within the gaming industry, focusing on blockbuster single-player experiences that have traditionally performed well for the company. During the presentation, Sony acknowledged that a decline in projected sales and profits for the second half of the fiscal year, partly attributed to the absence of major game releases in this period. This contrasts with the previous year's strong performance, which saw the successful launch of games like Marvel's Spider-Man 2, which was released in October 2023, and then Helldivers 2, which was released in February 2024. Both games significantly boosted revenue, highlighting the importance of marquee titles driving sales. To address the gap, Sony has committed to releasing prominent single-player games annually starting from April 2025. The initiative kicks off with Ghosts of Yotei, a much-anticipated sequel to the hit Ghosts of Tsushima. The focus on single-player content has been positively received by the PlayStation fanbase, especially given that recent disappointments with live service multiplayer games and Sony's strategy, which seemed to have focused more on live service and multiplayer games than their bread and butter single player games. Sony's acknowledgement of its core strength in developing compelling single player experiences was a central theme in the presentation. Sony noted that PlayStation studios known for their narrative driven and immersive titles are better positioned to create hits in the single player domain compared to live service games, which carry a significantly higher degree of uncertainty. This was evident earlier in 2024 when Sony released Helldivers 2, a title they described as a major success. However, the subsequent release of Concord, a live service game, faced considerable criticism and financial setbacks, prompting Sony to admit challenges within this area. Looking ahead, Sony has a promising lineup in development. While the company surprised fans earlier in 2024 by revealing there would be no major first-party game releases that year, the statement was somewhat misunderstood. Sony did release Astro Bot, a strong contender for Game of the Year, along with several other titles which were completed in partnership with other studios, resulting in PlayStation exclusive single-player games like Rise of the Ronin or Stellar Blade. However, the emphasis on significant high-profile releases is set to return with the upcoming financial year. Hiroki Totoki, a senior executive at Sony, assured investors that starting from April 2025, PlayStation will consistently offer major single-player titles every single year. Alongside Ghosts of Yotei, Sony is expected to release Death Stranding 2 on the Beach, a follow-up to Hideo Kojima's acclaimed game. Other first-party studios like Santa Monica Studio, Guerrilla Games, Bluepoint, Housemarque, and Naughty Dog are all reportedly working on unannounced projects, fueling anticipation amongst the PlayStation fanbase. The strategy signals Sony's commitment to delivering a steady stream of high-quality single-player games that cater to its core audience. While the company continues to experiment with live service multiplayer titles to diversify its portfolio and explore new revenue streams, it's become clear that single-player games will remain the cornerstone and the bedrock of the gaming strategy for Sony PlayStation. The recent financial disclosure indicates a nuanced approach to game development. The company plans to strike a balance between its proven bread and butter single-player titles and the riskier yet potentially lucrative live service games. Despite the challenges faced with games like Concord, Sony is not backing away from the live service model. Instead, it aims to leverage the lessons learned from both its successes and the failures to refine the process of its development stages and optimize its game portfolio. This balanced approach reflects Sony's broader strategy to maintain its dominance within the gaming industry while exploring new avenues for growth. So as we now enter the second half of the PS5 life cycle, Sony appears to be poised to ramp up the output, typically a phase when the company gains significant momentum. With a lineup of highly anticipated sequels and new IP from some of its top studios, PlayStation fans have a lot to look forward to beyond 2025. So following on from the statement from Sony confirming what most of the core fan base really wanted to know, Sony is not going anywhere when it comes to single player games. The typical AAA blockbuster games that we've all accustomed to seeing coming from Sony will continue to happen. They're also going to be experimenting with live service and multiplayer games simultaneously to try and bring other forms of revenue, but not at the expense of single player games. And I think that was the big thing that a lot of us were worried about under Jim Ryan, right? There was this big focus on every studio making large scale live service games. It seemed to really cost us the gamers. So we haven't had any of these big AAA games for a while. I mean, the last 18 months from PlayStation, not really releasing any major first party games, of course, except Astrobot. And that's given the studios time to reset, recollaborate, rethink, work with their teams and studios following the chaos of every studio having to make live service games under Jim Ryan. This 18-month period has allowed the studios to ensure that their focus is back on single player games, while Sony deals with some of the issues from the fallout of the live service change of strategy, inflated game budgets and outgoing CEO and also incoming CEOs, and then also balancing the books. And I feel that this statement from Sony to the investors shows that Sony PlayStation is back on track, and it just needed that period of time to readjust. And as of April 2025, we are going to start to get those big AAA games that we've all been waiting for. It also suggests that maybe we are in for a new PlayStation event or showcase sometime in early May to show everyone what Sony has got cooking for the rest of 2025 and 2026. We know they're not really going to showcase games that are many years away, but certainly 2025 and 2026, that'll be under the radar of a lot of people. What have you got cooking, Sony? What are these studios working on? We know we're getting Ghosts of Yotei and Death Stranding 2, right? We know we're getting them in 2025. Despite Kojima acquiring the Death Stranding IP, we know that will be a PlayStation exclusive for a period of time. Whether it's 3 months, 6 months, 12 months or 2 years, we don't know. That will be clarified in time. I think we'll also get a Wolverine game next year. I'm pretty confident we will. The challenge will be to avoid fall 2025 because that's when GTA 6 is coming out. So if we got one big game in May, another big game in the summer in July, and then another one in September, that would be absolutely amazing, knowing that GTA is probably coming out in October or November. What an amazing year. Plus we'll have games like Crimson Desert and Phantom Blade Zero also coming out in 2025. And of course, we know that these games are going to look and play absolutely brilliant on the PS5 Pro too. Let me know what you think about these game releases. When do you think we'll get Wolverine? Do you think we'll get a reveal at the Game Awards with a playable demo in early 2025 and a release at the end of 2025? What are your thoughts on the games coming out next year from Sony PlayStation, in particularly like the first party stuff? Death Stranding 2, Ghosts of Yotei. When are these games going to be released? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below about the topics discussed today in the video. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll catch you on the next video.